What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a special client interview today with my guy, Nick. Nick's been in the program here for a few months, but don't want to steal your thunder. Nick, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, and we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Nick. Originally from Belgium. I studied in the States for a couple of years, played basketball there, Division 2 basketball. Came back, played overseas. Still currently playing overseas. Been coaching online for about 2 years. Joined the program a couple months ago, and yeah, seen good results ever since. So
Fire, bro. Fire. Well, I'm really excited to dive in. I think this is a pretty unique example that we typically have on the channel. Why don't you go ahead and maybe give me a little bit more context in terms of your background in coaching, your playing background and stuff like that.
yeah, for sure. So I studied strength conditioning in college, human performance. Got 2 degrees in that. I've always been passionate about strength conditioning and just making athletes better in general. So always loved doing that. In my off seasons in college and then early on in my pro career as well, I was always coaching kids or athletes in general in person. But then obviously by moving country to country, place to place, I wasn't able to do that. So I kind of decided to take it online, not sure like where it would take me or if it was even a real possibility. I also did a couple programs before. I actually did about 2 programs before, just to kind of know how to make a program or like what to do online, whatever, which worked for me. And I thought it was working for a while, but obviously I kind of hit a ceiling. And that's how I got here in Nick's program.
Yeah, sick. Okay. So maybe paint the picture for me of like where you were at before you decided to jump in. Like how many followers did you have? Were you posting a lot? Like, just give me like the full context there.
Yeah. So I basically, when I started coaching online, I started with just posting my own content on Instagram. I started recording my own workouts and just posting them, like literally very little edits and just kind of raw videos, which happened to work for some reason. Started to gain a following quite quickly. Reached 10K, 20K, eventually 40K followers, which is around the number I had when I joined the program. I was getting clients, but they were most likely like low-level clients paying like $100 a month or something. Then one of the other programs I had kind of taught me how to actually make a program. So then I had a program that was about $800 a month. I had a few of those clients, so I was making some money online, but it was very limited. There were just the basics were in place. I would say the foundations were in place in terms of like content and program, but it wasn't fine-tuned, and I definitely wasn't speaking to like the actual type of client that I wanted to help or that I think I could help. Um, so yeah, those are the things that we really started to fine tune eventually in the program, and yeah, the success came very quickly. So
Yeah,
yeah.
sick. Sick. Okay, so you had a little bit of the foundations when you jumped into the program. Obviously, a lot of people that come through our program have never even heard of online coaching before.
Mhm.
Um, what was the thing that made you want to jump into the program and start like working with us, despite the fact that you already had 40,000 followers, had a little bit of momentum online?
Yeah, so I did have momentum online in terms of like followers and engagement. I could post a reel and it would have like 1,000 likes or like 50K views, but I wasn't necessarily seeing the return financially. So I always felt like I had a big reach, but the people weren't necessarily coming to me for actual help. So I felt like I was just not serving my real purpose. I wasn't really helping people that I wanted to help. I wasn't helping the basketball players that I wanted to help. I was just helping any type of athlete. So I wasn't really specified. And I also knew that, obviously, like you see a lot of people online that maybe have like 5K, 10K followers, making way more money than I was making. So I knew that I had some type of foundation. I just had to like find a way to kind of see the return financially. So I kept seeing your content, started consuming way too much of your content, and then eventually just got funneled into the whole thing. And I kind of knew that you were going to be a fit for me just because I knew that you were an athlete. I knew that from the videos you had a certain mindset that I really liked. And I also did programs before, so I knew I kind of had to invest something in order to get something back. So I wasn't afraid to do that. It was more so finding the right program for me. And the fact that you worked with athletes, especially athletes, and also you were very unique in the way that you kind of talked about everything. yeah, that really spoke to me. So that's kind of the reason I chose to join this program rather than something else. Yeah, just because I did programs before and you worked especially with athletes or like coaches that work with athletes. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me once I was really consuming all the content.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you joined directly right into our scale program versus our baseline level program. Obviously, maybe you don't have a comparison between the two, but I guess like let's say you jump into the program. What was that kind of like the first like 7 to 14 days inside of our scale program?
Yeah, well, so obviously, I think the direct contact with you was a big game changer. Just the fact that I could literally message you and we could get started straight away. There were obviously some things that you saw straight away that I could fix. Um, the first couple of days, you just told me straight away, like, you need to specify who you're going to help. You can't serve everyone. So I started like really focusing just on basketball players in my case, especially pro players. And that was my job to kind of fix that. The way I fix my content, the way I speak to the people, those were all things that I could fix on my end just by one simple fix that you gave me in the first hour of joining or the first couple hours of joining. And then from there on, like obviously I could rewatch all the calls and everything that you taught before on the actual scale calls. Started consuming a lot of those calls, really diving into problems I was having at that time. So I think there's a lot of information that comes at you at once, or you have the choice to get all the information. So it's kind of up to you on how fast you kind of make those changes. But for me, obviously, I knew I made an investment. I really wanted to make the investment worth it, obviously. And yeah, so I took action straight away. And then you were there all along to help. And anytime I had a question, I could just ask you. You just messaged me back straight away, which was pretty dope. Like I had coaches before, for example, in the other programs, like I always had to schedule a call and then it would take like a week before I could schedule the call, whatever. But with you, like if I have some small type of questions, I just send you a voice note or a message and you just respond within a couple hours for sure. So that was pretty cool. So if I have a bigger problem, I just schedule a call. But either way, like we're always kind of in contact and fixing little things and fine tuning the whole profile and the business.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, I mean, you obviously came into the program with like a pretty good foundation. You've been through programs before and like you made good content. Maybe you just like weren't as, specific with who you wanted to go after. So
hmm
let's go, first 30 to 60 days inside the program. Kind of walk me through like tactically, okay, like what did we want to change? And then what were the outcomes as a result of that?
Yeah. So at first, I was speaking like I wanted to help all type of athletes. I just wanted to improve performance because I felt like I had this internal feeling that I could help anyone, any type of athlete, just improve performance, which I don't necessarily think is like a bad thing. But from a financial standpoint, it's just not the best. Probably it's better to just really focus on one specific avatar and just go after that ideal client. So once we kind of started finding like what that type of athlete was for me, I could also start speaking to that athlete. Um, so at first, I had to search a little bit on how to really speak to these guys or like how to not talk to everyone else basically. So obviously I had a big following, but not everyone in that following was my type of client. So once I kind of started shifting my content, I definitely saw a decrease in followers, for example, just people that kind of saw that I wasn't really talking to them anymore, um, which was okay. But obviously I'm not gonna say I was panicking, but I was kind of like freaking out on like why people defollowing me or unfollowing me.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's completely fine. But then I also kind of started changing my program, like from the inside out, just kind of really focusing on helping the specific client, right? Like, so it's not only the talking in the content, but it's also like the actual program. Like, what can I actually do in my program to really, really help these professional basketball players? So that was kind of the mind shift within the first 30 days, I would say, just really focusing on how can I serve my clients, you know, in a perfect way, from a content base and then also from an actual program. And then once I actually started having all these things kind of in place, it was about engaging in a good way with these guys. Obviously, I had to talk in a different way to a pro bowler than like any other type of athlete, like a hockey
Yeah.
player or a baseball player or whatever. So I had to
Yeah.
also find a different way on kind of engaging with them in the DMs. But I found myself that it was easier for me to do so because I'm also a professional basketball player, so I really know what these guys think. I know what they go through. So it was actually way easier for me. I found that like once I got on these calls with these basketball players, I really had good conversations. It was way more natural rather than just me talking to a random high school football kid. Like I have nothing with football, even
Yeah.
though I thought that I could help him. So yeah, that was kind of the first 30 to 60 days, I would say, just kind of fine tuning everything and just making sure that I had a good understanding of who I was actually trying to serve.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So you get a lot more specific with not only the content, but the program itself. You
Hmm.
start pumping that content out there, you start losing followers, which for somebody who's, and this is what I see all the time with like people in your situation, right? Is they might be
Hmm.
really good content creators, but they need help with like the marketing, like with
Hmm.
actual marketing, right? Can you speak to that a little bit about how like creating good content is different than creating content specifically designed to like attract people into your program?
Yeah, for sure. That's basically all I was doing before I joined the program. If I would post a reel and it didn't have like 3, 4, 500 likes, I would think it was just bad content. Which it was from that perspective of like attracting people, I guess. But those people that I was attracting were just not future clients. They were just people that like to see my content. And
Mm-hmm.
quite frankly, that's also the content I like to consume, right? Like I like to see workout videos of guys working out, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna join the program of this guy necessarily. However, you post videos, for example, and you might have like 5 likes, you know. But when I was consuming your content, I did not look at the likes. I was like, wow, this guy's really speaking to me. So I had
Yeah.
to also apply that to what I was doing. And now I'm posting videos that might not have the same likes, and I'm posting this content knowing it's not going to have the same amount of likes or the same amount of engagement. But I also know that if I speak to this one person, I'm speaking directly to him, right? So it's okay for that to happen. It was a little bit hard at first to just kind of see people unfollowing you and losing like engagements. Like I think when I joined the program, I'm not sure what the exact number was, but I think I had like 2 million accounts reach in the last 30 days or so. I'm probably around like 300,000 now. So that's a huge gap, but like I'm making way more money. So at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely that was definitely a big shift for me that I had to make. But I understood it. It was just more so like I actually had to apply it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that's super insightful too. And the fact that you even have like the data to back it is crazy. Um,
Mhm.
and I know you said like obviously you had some clients before jumping into the program. Where
Mhm.
was like the big shift for you where it was like, okay, like boom, now I'm really starting to see results. Like what was that big like domino for you?
Yeah, so once I was like having more calls with basketball players, like I just said, and once I started engaging with them, I really started to understand like what they're kind of looking for. Because obviously, like before, I was helping players really just increase performance, right? Like I was trying to have them bigger, faster, stronger. But basketball players, especially professional basketball players, they come from a whole different standpoint. And it's not necessarily about getting bigger, faster, stronger, or helping them perform better. It's more so like maximizing what they're already doing, like really um, increasing the quality of their season or even their career, right? So once I started speaking to the basketball players in that perspective, saying like instead of like increasing your outputs on the court, I'm really going to focus on making sure that every single game or every single practice you show up, you feel good. So once I understood that, I could also reflect that in the calls and really speak to them in that way. And I think the biggest win that I had was obviously, signing my biggest client ever, who signed for 7.7K for like a 3 month, three
Crazy.
month, 3 month deal. He paid it in full. He didn't hesitate. Like it was a two-call close. So I called him one time, kind of explained to him what I did. Then he had to like order some things. I didn't even say the price on the first call. I just kind of told him what I did, what he had to do. He just did it. 2 days later, he got back to me. He's like, "Can we hop back on the call?" We hopped back on the call. Just send him the link. He paid on the call. Didn't even blink twice, because he understood what I was doing. He understood like how I could help him and also like how this could actually help his career, right? So that was a really cool moment, and that also kind of showed me that there's really the right avatar out there. Like it's not just like shooting for the stars. Like it's really just about finding that one guy that wants to do that, and believing that you have the qualities to serve these type of people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's super powerful, because a lot of people have limiting beliefs around what they can charge online.
Hmm.
And I think you
Hmm.
probably did at some in
Hmm.
some capacity too when you first
For
came
sure.
into the program, right? So,
Yeah, for sure. Oh, sorry.
no,
Yeah.
whatever you had to say, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of explain it, but like basically, like like I told you, like when I first started doing online coaching, I was charging like monthly, like I was charging like 100 or 150 bucks a month. And then I had this first kind of program that kind of taught me how to make the program. I think I was charging like 800 at the time. But then when I joined your program and I started also seeing from like the scale group, like how much people are actually charging for the program, I was like, I
Yeah.
cannot keep charging people like 1,000 bucks for like 6 months or something. Like that's just slavery at that point. Because also I started to understand that like I'm really doing everything I can for my clients. And if I'm doing that
Yeah.
for like a really low price, then I'm gonna get burned out real quick. And one of the things that I also really understood from like, being surrounded by other guys, like, or people in the program, was that it's so important to have like these systems in place. And I still remember one of the first scale calls that I watched was like about management of like time and resources. And you were kind of explaining like how important it is to like really make sure that the price of your program is high enough so like you can really serve like high level guys and not like these guys that maybe pay 1,000 bucks for 6 months and like start messaging you 24/7. Because obviously like you want to help your clients, but like if it's not to get anything in return, then it's just not worth it. So yeah, I definitely had that limiting belief, I think. But after a couple of weeks, or yeah, after 2 months or something in the program, I definitely saw big return on investment in changing that perspective for sure.
For sure. For sure. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me because
Yeah.
a lot of people they have no idea like what they can actually charge. So I think that's like really valuable insight. Now, in terms of
Mhm.
like let's say best month before you jumped into the program versus now best month, like what are the differences between those two?
Yeah, so I think my best month before was around I would say like 5K USD. Which was like almost a year before I joined. And then after that, it was probably always like around 2K, maybe 3K here and there. But it was always like pretty stable, I would say. Now, 2 or 3K is only one client or half a client for me, so it's not that hard to get to 2 or 3K. And basically, like 2.5 months after joining, I had like a 14K month, which was like absolutely insane for me.
Crazy.
Because I just never imagined, like, obviously, like you see people on the internet like talk about like, oh, I got 10K months, this and that, and I just never really believed that was like doable. So like once I actually had a 7K PIF, and then added some more offers on top of that, like I just got to 14K, and now I'm thinking like the sky's the limit. Like why not repeat it and do even better?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's amazing, bro. Thank you for sharing because obviously like somebody like you, like your situation is not as uncommon as maybe people might think, right? Where they have some good
Mhm.
followers, are good at making content, but with a couple of adjustments, you can make way more money and serve the types of athletes that you want to, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
why don't you talk about, how your experience in the scale program has actually been and like what it's been like? Because I know, like I say a lot, our average client in there makes like 20,000 a month. Like, am I like totally capping or like, is that actually real?
it's probably real. I probably make the least amount of money of the whole group, but I think that being surrounded by these guys, like it really shows you like there's actually a next level to it, but like also you're surrounded by them, so it's not just like you seeing that on social media. Like you're actually in calls with these guys, and they really ask like next level questions that maybe you don't even think about, like problems that maybe I don't have, or maybe I'm not encountering just like them, but it makes you think in a different way. And so often, like I just, look at the scale calls, or like I watch them back because I'm like 8 hours ahead or something in Europe. So I'm also like rewatching the scale calls most of the time. But like it really makes you like see things in a different perspective, because someone like Will, for example, like hitting 60K months, which is absolutely nuts. Like just seeing that and like hearing how he talks and like the problems that he encounters, like is so insightful for me. And makes me think in different ways, right? And I think that opening that vision for me was a big part of it, honestly. Just like being part of a group is so powerful. Like I never thought that being part of a community or like a group like that would actually have such a big impact. And it's super insightful, it's super valuable. Obviously, I think most of us already had like the foundations, right? Like you said, right? Like I already have followers, like I kind of knew like how to make a program and deliver it. But just being part of a group like that is really, really valuable, I think.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think, obviously the scale program, like I work very closely with everybody inside of that program, but, being able to see everybody help each other, that's like
Hmm.
pretty incredible. And we just signed somebody up into our scale program the other day, doing 25K a month online already,
Hmm.
which is crazy. So, okay, who would you say that our scale program is for?
I would say it's for anyone who's really serious about making money online through online coaching. But I also would say that it's for people just like me, right? Like people, like if you're in a position where you have the foundations and you kind of know what you're doing, but you know that there's like way more in the tank, and you're also willing to, you know, put something down to get something out of it, then I think that's a perfect investment. Like it's a no-brainer. Once I started like really diving into your mentality before like, joining the program and seeing how you talk, what you talk about, like, when we jumped on the call, I already know I was going to buy. Like, there was just no way I was not going to buy. And that's exactly because of that. Like, I knew who you were, I knew what you talk about, and being part of like this small elite group, you know, and having direct access to you all the time or almost all the time, is so powerful. So I think if you're someone who's serious about like online coaching athletes, um, you want to make some money and you want to like do it in a good way rather than just wasting time, and you're ready like, to do it for real, then I think it's the perfect opportunity to do so.
Yeah, sick. I appreciate you sharing that. The scale program, is pretty incredible, bro. Just with like the level of conversation and the people that are in it. And I heard a great quote one time, which is rising tide raises all ships.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's what it feels like too.
Yeah, fire. Okay. Plans for the future for you, bro. Like, where do you see, like, what do you think like your next steps are?
Double down on what's working. That's what you always say. So
Yeah.
don't change too much as long as it's working. But yeah, just keep going. I kind of have a way better sense of direction now on like how to do things. So it's, there's always progress and there's always things I have to do better. Just scale up as much as I can and make it like a real business rather than just a one-man power, I think. I think that's kind of the next big step or like the next thing I'm looking into do. But yeah, I don't want to put a number on it, but just take it as high as I can, basically, and serve as many high level players as I can. Because I really truly enjoy working with like the top of the top and being able to like serve people that play at the highest levels is also a pleasure for me as a coaching, as a coach. So from a business standpoint, take it to the moon, and from a coaching perspective, help as many guys as I can.
Yeah, amazing, bro. Amazing. Okay. And is there anything else that you would want to say while we got the camera rolling here?
I mean, I already kind of said it, but I think that one thing that you have to understand sometimes, and it's kind of hard to understand for a lot of people, is that if you truly want to like get something off the ground, like it's gonna take some manpower, and that means effort, obviously, but it also means from a financial side, Um, I'll be quite honest, like it was a big investment for me to make the program, and when I joined, I basically didn't even know if I was gonna be able to pay it all, but it paid off really well, and you know, I even tell my clients this, like it would be fake if I wouldn't be able to invest in myself if I ask the same from my clients. So I think a lot of coaches, they kind of just want to get people to pay for them, but they don't really do the same for themselves or like for the business or whatever. So I think if you're serious about what you're doing and you really want to get into online coaching, then joining a program just like this is exactly what you need. So Nick is the guy. Nick will help you, and I think that it's a great program for any online coach trying to scale for sure.
Yeah. Appreciate you saying that, bro. It's been super awesome getting to see your progression. And it's really just the beginning. I mean, we've only been working together for like a handful of months. So I'm excited to see, like where you can really take this because you got all the tools.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, bro. And just so people know that, you're not AI and like a real person, and I didn't pay you to do this interview. Like, where can people find you?
Yeah, people can find my Instagram, Switch Performance, Switch Training, Switch underscore training underscore is my Instagram profile.
Sick. Well, Nick, I appreciate you jumping on. Thanks so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Pleasure was mine.
Awesome. And if you're a coach, by the way, and you haven't joined our program yet, really not sure what you're doing, go ahead and book a call with us. Anyway, Nick,
Yeah.
appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.